In this video, we will provide a functional overview of the integration between PeopleSoft Campus Solutions and Oracle Student Financial Planning Cloud Service. This is one of the 3 Spotlight series reviewing the integration and concentrates on CS Student Financial Setup and SFPs for financial transaction messages. The topics we will review in this Spotlight include SFP, CS inbound messages from SFP, the CS message log, enabling integration, CS student financial setup, process anticipated aid, cancel anticipated aid, disbursement processing, return to lender, and the financial data page. What customers like about SFP include student centricity, individual packaging for current and future terms, and strong self-service for ISR processing. Extreme automation, allowing the financial aid staff to spend time on students, not on processes, and the real-time integration with Department of Ed. The next 2 slides identify SFP's messages that CS will consume. Financial plan outbound is a message that CS will use to populate the anticipated aid table. Disbursement cancellation removes awards from anticipated aid. Disbursement information version 2 populates group data entry. Return to lender populates also group data entry, and message validation error populates the message map table with any errors coming in from SFP. Continuing with SFP's messages that CS will consume, notifications message populates the NTF DAT record so that it can be used in the CS notifications framework. Unsupported, these are messages that are not supported by CS. And then the plus refund, which is a web service called when processing plus and G plus disbursements. Using the processing SFP messages run control, 2 options are available to pull SFP outbound messages for CS to consume. SCC_SFP_pull2, which is a multi-part message payload, or SCC SFP pull, which will produce single message payloads. The processing option, garbage collection frequency, will assist in reclaiming memory and determine if log files should be created. By setting the frequency to a lower number, the collect garbage command is forced to reclaim memory at a higher frequency rate. Enter the academic institution value that corresponds to the student population that is being processed. At this time, you are not able to pull specific message classes. All SFP outbound messages are pulled into CS for processing. All inbound and outbound messages are logged in the record SCC_SFA_MSG_map. The SFP message log provides a view into the table holding all the SFP inbound and outbound messages. Search criteria allows the user to select specific transactions and display the results. When an error or warning has been encountered, the SFP message log page will provide that information. In this example, a warning is displayed on a disbursement message that the disbursement is a duplicate. The warning message is displaying the group ID that corresponds to the original disbursement that had already been posted. Tap the transactions detail and additional information is displayed with regard to the disbursement, as to the fund code and corresponding item type, along with SFP's payment ID. To view the disbursement message XML, tap the message and the XML window is displayed. The SFP message log will also contain any message validation errors that SFP identifies when consuming the 5 CS outbound messages. CS consumes the message validation errors when CS pulls the messages from SFP. You may want to periodically review the message validation errors to ensure CS data is in sync with SFP. The first example is where SFP found an issue in consuming the student initiation message, where the SSN already existed for a student in SFP. The second example is where SFP found an issue in consuming the SAFI message, where the student did not exist in SFP. Next, we will review the CS setup required to consume and process SFP's financial messages. Within the Campus Community menu, under the Student Financial Planning Interface component, the SFP Installation Setup page contains the flag to enable SFP interface. Under the same menu, the SFP group setup will need to be updated to identify the origin ID and a group type that represents SFP's disbursements and return to lender transactions. The assigned operator ID is optional, but you could select the ID of the administrator that you would like assigned to all group post transactions created for the SFP disbursements and return to lender transactions. The group line daily limit can be used to limit the number of group lines per group if needed, and it is optional. If you want the ability to populate the anticipated aid table for SFP's non-federal funds that have a status of estimated, the NFF estimated award start date will need to be populated on the SFP terms for projections. The following section will review the student financial setup required for the CS integration with SFP. To ensure SFP disbursements are given a unique SF payment ID number, the disbursement date item flag must be enabled on the SF business unit posting setup. If the item type's charge priority has the Use Aid Year option enabled, the FA Aid Year setup is required for posting SFP disbursements. This should be the only CS financial aid setup required for the CS SFP integration. In the CS SFP integration, the CS item type is mapped to SFP's fund code. The item type short desker should be populated with the SFP fund code value. The item type classification should be defined as financial aid. There is a one-to-one relationship between SFP's fund code and the CS item type. The exception is for plus and G plus fund codes. The item type's SFP attributes page is used to support the integration with Oracle Fusion Cloud Student Financial Planning. The page will render differently between financial aid, charges, and waiver item types. During SFP's packaging, CS will consume the financial plan outbound message that can be used to populate the anticipated aid table. The CS required setup is found on the item type's SFP attributes tab. The Save Estimated Award is specific to non-federal funds and will be covered in a later slide. Display Anticipated Aid provides three options to indicate if the funds should be available: awarded versus award accepted, or do not display anticipated aid. The anticipated aid start date provides the options as to when the award is active, and anticipated aid expiration days will determine when the award expires. The following section will review high-level processing of the 4 SFP financial transaction messages. The Financial Plan Outbound Event, or FPO V2, is used to populate the CS anticipated aid record based on the item type SFP attributes, as we have seen in the previous slide. At the time CS is consuming the FPO V2 message, it will perform the following calculation to ensure the award is active and has not expired prior to inserting into anticipated aid. A calculated date is derived from the item type setup and then compared to the system date, or the current date. If the calculated date is greater than the system date, it will insert the award into the anticipated aid record. In this example, the system date is September 23, 2022, and the term start date is August 29, 2022. The item type setup indicates the anticipated aid start date is 30 days prior to the term, which would equate to July 29, 2022. This date is represented in the DISPB_APPL_DT field. Next, the anticipated aid expiration days are reviewed, and in this example is set to 60 days. This data is represented in the SSF_SFP_aid_EXPD field. To determine if the aid has expired, you'll take the disbursement apply date plus the aid expiration days and compare that to the system date. Looking at the first grid, the calculated date is September 29, 2022, which is greater than the system date of September 23, 2022. This transaction will then be inserted into the anticipated aid record. In the second grid, it is showing an example where the calculated date is less than the system date, and that award is not inserted into the anticipated aid table. If your institution would like to include estimated non-federal funds into the anticipated aid record, the Save Estimated Award flag must be enabled along with the other SFP aid attributes defined on the item type. In the previous slides, we discussed SFP's FPOV2 adding awards to the anticipated aid record. So what reduces the award amounts or expires the award on the anticipated aid record? The anticipated aid net award amount is reduced when CS consumes either the SFP's disbursement message or SFP's disbursement cancellation message. Also, two options are available to manually expire anticipated aid by a student or through a batch process. This slide provides a few lessons learned from past implementations. Why can't the students see their anticipated aid in CS self-service? SFP is the source for all financial aid, and the student should look at their awards in SFP's student portal. Why isn't an award in the anticipated aid record? The FPOV2 fund status may be different from the item type SFP attribute setup. Anticipated aid may have been determined during processing that it had expired. A non-federal fund estimated award message is not within the current award year, or the non-federal fund estimated award start date was not set up in the SFP term for projection setup. SFP's disbursement cancel message is triggered when an award is canceled prior to disbursement. CS consumes the message and updates are made to anticipated aid. In the CS SFP integration, when SFP disperses awards, CS consumes the disbursement information message and populates student financials group data entry, which is similar to CS Financial Aid batch disbursement. Here I'm showing the mapping of the message to group line for a few fields. During the process, the SFP fund code is matched to the respective item type. SFP's payment ID is mapped to group line Ref1 Desker. And depending on SFP's fund type, the group line item amount is populated. So if the fund type is a Title IV grant or Title IV loan, the total disbursement amount will be used to populate group line's item amount. If the fund type is Title IV direct loan, then the total net disbursement amount is used. And for non-federal fund grants loans, the incremental disbursement amount will be used to populate group line's item amount. Just a quick note regarding the mapping of SFP messages to CS records and fields. Refer to Oracle Student Financial Planning Cloud Service Integration Management Doc ID 2514682.1. Back to the SFP disbursement message. And just a quick note on student financials posting of SFP disbursements. Prior to PUM Image 28, SF posting was combining multiple SFP disbursements into one payment ID number by EMPL ID, term, item type, and disbursement date. In this example, SFP had two disbursements for a student with one term and the same fund code and disbursement date, and the two disbursements totaled $12,134. In CS, SF Posting combined the disbursements into Payment ID number 1. From customer feedback, this was creating reconciliation problems, so in November 2022, CS posted a critical patch that is included in PUM Image 28. And this changed SF Posting so it no longer combined SFP's disbursements and is forcing a one-to-one relationship between SFP's payment ID to SF payment ID number. For additional information, refer to KM Doc ID 2909841.1. The next couple of slides will review the processing of PLUS and G+ loans in the CS SFP integration. To support multiple PLUS applications per student, CS and SFP allow multiple PLUS fund codes to multiple item types. The PLUS disbursement message will include the PLUS fund code and an application ID. CS will use the application ID to track the individual borrowers for an EMPL ID. When CS consumes SFP's PLUS disbursement message, a web service is invoked to pull in the biographic information of the borrower and will also provide CS with the school credit balance option from the application. The PLUS fund code is mapped to the CS item types short DESCR and SFP attributes. For PLUS and G+, the item types SFP attributes will contain setup specific to the PLUS G+ application school credit balance options of all academic charges or Title IV charges only. You will need to ensure the correct charge priority is assigned to each PLUS G+ item type that corresponds with the school credit balance option. Also note, for both PLUS and G+, a minimum of 2 item types are needed to ensure correct mapping of the application's school credit balance option to an item type. In addition, you will need to determine the number of PLUS applications that a student could have and ensure you have corresponding item types to map to each application. If your institution determined a student could have 2 PLUS borrower applications, then you would need to have a total of 4 item types. Remember, the item type must be unique for each borrower to ensure accuracy for refunding. To continue with the CS processing of PLUS disbursements in the CS SFP integration, CS has automated creating an EMPL ID for the borrower using constituent transaction management and search match functionality, and in addition will create the PLUS relationship. The automated steps include: first, the constituent transaction management is called to create the refund EMPL ID. This is dependent on your search match and data update rules. If there were multiple matches returned for that PLUS borrower, then a row is inserted into group line for the PLUS disbursement, and the refund EMPL ID field will be set to blank. The post flag is set to do not post. This allows you to research for the correct refund EMPL ID value, and then you follow up by inserting that into group line. If a match is not found, an EMPL ID will be created for the borrower and the disbursement is added to group line, and the refund EMPL ID field will be populated with this value. The following 2 CS tables will hold some of the PLUS application attributes: SCC SFP Fund Map and SCC SFP Plus. When SFP reduces an award after it has been disbursed, the return to lender message is triggered. CS will consume the message and populate group line first to reverse the entire disbursement, and then a second group line will be created for the reduced loan amount. If the reversal was for the full disbursement amount, a second line will not be created in group line. If your CS SFP implementation is after PUM Image 28, this slide is not relevant. If you had implemented prior to PUM Image 28, and you have multiple SFP disbursements that were rolled into one SF payment ID number, CS will reverse that payment ID number, but will also need to create group line rows to add back each of those SFP disbursements that were part of that CS payment number. In this example, SFP had 3 separate disbursements that totaled $850, and it corresponds to CS payment ID number 2. SFP payment ID P456 was reduced from 400 to 300, which triggered the return to lender event. CS consumed that event, and the group line rows were created as line 1 reversed payment ID number 2 of $850. Then line 2 would be to add back SFP payment ID 123 for $350. Row 3 in group line would be to also add back payment ID 667 for $100. And line 4 would be the reduced amount of SFP's payment ID 456 for the amount of $300. Once SF posts those group line transactions, CIA's payment ID number 2 would now be $750. That ends the review of the 4 financial messages that CS consumes. One last item to review is the financial data page, which is available to assist in reviewing SFP financial messages to student financials. This page provides a cross-reference of SFP disbursements and return to lender messages to group line and the customer account. It is a comprehensive view that provides greater efficiency in ensuring SFP financial message events have been posted accurately to each student's account. The data will be retrieved from 3 major sources. The first one is the disbursement reporting tables. The second is from the SCC SFA message map table, and then also the SF records of group line, and item line SF. If either a SFP disbursement or return to lender event did not populate group line, you may need to manually create the transactions. Always use group data entry for these types of manual transactions and populate group line's reference number with SFP's disbursement payment number to aid with reconciliation. Tap the payment details link to populate the disbursement date. If this is a plus disbursement, make sure to populate the refund ID with the plus borrower's info ID to ensure the correct person is receiving the plus refund. Here is a list of CS resources that will assist in your preparing to implement the CS SFP integration.